Nancy in our version draws from a lot of the same characteristics that Nancy has always embodied. This incredible justice-driven rebellion, this tenacity to do good and right wrongs no matter the cost. She's meticulous and empathetic and in the way that she always has been. But we're seeing her now as a person who's real and makes real mistakes, and her actions have consequences in her personal relationships. You know, we're used to a Nancy Drew where everything is tied up in a nice neat little bow at the end and nobody gets hurt and everybody's fine and everybody understands and it's great. And that's not real life. And it's not real life for Nancy in our version. You know, she's willing to put it all on the line in order to solve a case or get justice. And that means losing friendships or letting people down and then having to deal with the emotional toil of that. And I think that that's a really welcome, refreshing thing to witness. That she's this amazing, incredibly accomplished person, but that doesn't come with a perfect life. So.
Yeah, and I think for Carson, obviously there's a strong inspiration, as with everything within the show, taken from the books. I think Carson in the books was always had this sort of idyllic kind of representation where his bond with Nancy was always really important to the source material. He's an attorney, so he in his own way is fighting for justice in the world. But again, as Kennedy said, in our current version, it's very more reflective of real life, which is something that I think storytelling has evolved into incorporating in a way that I'm grateful for. The books are amazing. They were written in a certain time where everything was a little more idyllic, and this idea of talking about all of the rough edges of life, all the things that are difficult and challenging, wasn't front and center in the storytelling. In our story, it is. Right from the beginning, we deal with the fact that these are two people who are mourning a traumatic loss, my wife, her mother, and so in the books, the bond between these two characters was always evident. In our telling, we tell the other side of it too, which is life throws very, very difficult things at you, and you become different people to each other sometimes. And so we see two people who have an incredible, deep history together, who are almost figuring out who they are supposed to be for one another. And for themselves in many ways.
I was just curious how the casting process went for you, Kennedy, and landing the roles Nancy Drew. And Scott, I know you're a veteran. You came in after Freddie Prinze and bailed out of the project.
Yes.
So for me, I got a text from, I was very fresh out of school. I graduated drama school in May of 2018. So it was my first pilot season. And my goal was to get a call back. That was what I was hoping to accomplish. And I would have been like, I did great! I nailed it! And I got a text from my agent, who's right over there. And she's like, oh my God, they're doing a Nancy Drew script, and we have to get you in for it. And I was playing Dungeons and Dragons with my friends, and I was like, guys, I will be Nancy Drew, I promise you right now. And those people can bet for that, I did say that. And because I'm like such a super fan, I was like, I was born for this, we have to make it happen. But also I was like, no one's gonna cast me in that. And so I went in New York to audition and just kind of crossed my fingers and hoped that that tape would make its way to LA. And it did, and they liked it. And I remember getting the call that I was testing for the part that they wanted to fly me out to LA, and I was like on my way to my nannying job down in Tribeca. I was like traveling down from Harlem, and I was like getting on the subway, and I was like crying on the subway, listening to Dancing Queen in my headphones, and I was like, I'm really gonna do it. And so I flew out to LA, and we did a couple rounds of testing and workshopping, and really worked through it, and it worked out. And oh, you guys are so sweet. Thank you. It was still the craziest moment of my life. It's so strange to be back here now, because I haven't been back since we started filming, and to see this city that was my home. And I was just like near my old apartment last night, and I was like, I'm on a poster. I was like, when did this happen? It's been the most surreal experience, especially being here.
Great stuff.
And what do you like the most about this show?
I think that we have a real commitment to authenticity in relationships, which is probably my favorite part. I do also like the part where I get to roll around and jump over things and hide and duck behind things and like pick locks and drive around in the blue roadster. That stuff's pretty cool too. Working with Scott's the worst part for sure. Truly and honestly, acting with Scott is a highlight for me as well.
Sweetheart. Me too. That's my favorite part of the show is working.
Nice cat.
Working with her. It is. It's great. I mean, it's beyond great. I mean, she is, kind of born to play. When you see an actor and a role meet this way, it's so rare. Because a lot of people fit in things well, but then when it's like, what just happened? Like this cosmic connection of like a person who's destined to do this. So it's been a joy to work with her, and the commitment to our writers' commitment to having everything make such beautiful sense and run so deep emotionally and psychologically in terms of how all these characters are connected and relate to each other, because it'd be very easy just to rely on all the cool stuff that's happening, and they're not. They're allowing all of these relationships and characters to be explored so beautifully and so deeply that I think ultimately is what really makes people invested in a story, is how much they can care about people. And so this version of Nancy is so human and real and full that it's exciting to be a part of.
Are we going to see any of Carson outside of being a dad?
Yes. Yeah. Again, there's a full commitment to every character within the story to tell a full story, and so we see who he is when Nancy's not around, for better and worse. And but again, being inspired by this source material, he is very much who he is within the story is always within the context of who he is to Nancy. Yeah.